Imagine waking up 5 days from now, looking in the mirror and noticing that stubborn belly fat is finally starting to melt away, and all you changed was your breakfast. Most people start their day thinking they're doing the right thing, maybe a bowl of oatmeal, a glass of orange juice, or even a protein shake with a banana. But what if I told you that those choices are the very reason you're holding on to fat? Your body is incredibly smart. It's always listening to the signals you send it first thing in the morning. When you feed it sugar, carbs, or even healthy grains, you're not setting yourself up to burn fat. You're programming your body to store it, and it's not your fault. We've been told for decades that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and it is, but only if you do it the right way. I used to do it all wrong too. My mornings were filled with quick fixes and blood sugar crashes. I'd eat something sweet or starchy and wonder why I was hungry again 2 hours later. I wasn't burning fat. I was feeding sugar cravings, triggering insulin spikes, and throwing my energy off for the whole day. Then I discovered the truth. There are 3 simple rules that flipped everything for me. These rules work with your body's natural fat-burning hormones instead of fighting against them. You don't need magic pills, fancy supplements, or endless hours at the gym. You just need to start your day in a way that teaches your body to burn fat for fuel. Thousands of my students have used these exact rules to drop serious fat fast, sometimes 5 pounds or more in just 5 days. Their energy skyrockets, inflammation drops, sleep improves, and the fat starts falling off. It's not a diet, it's strategy, and it begins the moment you wake up. For decades, we've been told the same story: breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And that's true, but not in the way most people think. The way you break your fast determines whether you spend the next few hours in fat-burning mode or fat-storing mode. Most people are unknowingly starting their day by telling their body to store fat. Think about the standard breakfast: a bowl of cereal, a slice of toast, maybe some fruit juice. All of these are pure carbohydrates. And what do carbs do the moment they hit your system? They spike your glucose. That spike forces your body to release insulin. And once insulin is elevated, fat burning shuts off. That's a scientific fact. You can't burn fat in a high insulin environment. So when you start your day with foods that drive up insulin, you're literally blocking your body's ability to burn fat. But it gets worse. That spike in glucose is followed by a crash. You've probably felt it: the mid-morning slump, brain fog, maybe a craving for more sugar or coffee. It's not a lack of willpower, it's a hormonal roller coaster caused by a poor breakfast choice. And the cycle keeps repeating: more sugar, more insulin, more fat storage. Now, let's flip the script. Fat loss is not about cutting calories. It's about controlling your hormones, specifically insulin and cortisol. When insulin is low and stable, your body is free to access stored fat for fuel. And when cortisol, your stress hormone, is managed properly, it works with you, not against you. Breakfast plays a huge role in both of these. When you eat the right kind of breakfast or delay breakfast strategically, you allow insulin to remain low, which unlocks fat burning. You train your body to switch from burning sugar to burning fat. That's called metabolic flexibility, and it's the key to sustained fat loss, high energy, and reduced inflammation. A metabolically flexible person can go hours without eating, stay focused, and burn fat effortlessly. But someone who's metabolically inflexible is constantly chasing the next snack, feeling sluggish, and storing more fat, even if they're eating healthy. The good news is this can be trained. You're not stuck with the metabolism you have today. Your body adapts to the signals you give it, and breakfast is one of the most powerful signals of all. The first time I skipped breakfast on purpose, it felt completely wrong. I'd been told my whole life that if I didn't eat in the morning, I'd lose muscle, slow down my metabolism, and probably end up binging later in the day. But what actually happened was the opposite. I felt lighter, clearer, and surprisingly full of energy. And within just a few days, I started seeing real changes in the mirror. That stubborn belly fat started to shrink, my cravings were gone, and my energy no longer depended on caffeine or snacks. That's the power of intermittent fasting. When you delay your first meal and give your body a break from food, something incredible happens under the surface. Your insulin levels drop, and remember, low insulin is the key to unlocking fat burning. Instead of burning the quick energy from breakfast carbs, your body has no choice but to tap into stored fat for fuel. That's what we call fat adaptation. You're teaching your metabolism to become efficient, flexible, and less dependent on constant food intake. But the benefits don't stop at fat loss. When you're in a fasted state, your body activates a process called autophagy. Think of it as cellular housekeeping. Damaged cells are cleaned up, inflammation starts to drop, and energy production gets more efficient. It's one of the reasons people who fast consistently report better skin, mental clarity, and faster recovery. Your body isn't starving, it's healing. Now, I get it. The first reaction most people have is, but I get hungry in the morning. And that's normal in the beginning. Your body is used to eating at certain times, and those hunger signals are more about habit than actual need. Once you start practicing fasting consistently, those signals change. Hunger becomes more manageable, and eventually, it disappears completely in the morning. You feel in control. You feel sharper. And you're no longer a slave to food or the clock. Another big myth is the idea that skipping breakfast will slow your metabolism. But that's not how human physiology works. In fact, fasting boosts your metabolic rate in the short term by increasing norepinephrine, a hormone that helps break down fat cells. This is why so many people report having more energy and mental focus when they fast, not less. One of my clients, Sarah, was stuck in a plateau. She was eating clean, exercising, doing everything by the book, but the scale wouldn't budge. I suggested she try delaying her first meal until noon and stick with water, black coffee, or herbal tea in the morning. Within a week, not only had the weight started to drop, but she noticed her bloating went away, her clothes fit better, and she didn't feel the need to snack constantly. What fasting really does is create space for your hormones to rebalance, for your metabolism to reset, and for your body to tap into its natural built-in fuel system. It's not about deprivation. It's about giving your body a break from the constant work of digestion so it can shift into a more powerful state, fat burning mode. When you start your day with sugar or carbs, even the ones you've been told are healthy, you're creating biochemical chaos in your body. You're setting off a chain reaction that shuts down fat burning and turns on fat storing all before your day even gets going. Let's look at what actually happens. You wake up, you're a little hungry, and you think you're making a smart choice. Maybe a bowl of oatmeal with some berries, a fruit smoothie, or a granola bar with a splash of almond milk. It sounds like a clean, nutritious breakfast, right? But the truth is all of these are high in carbohydrates and natural sugars. The moment you eat them, your blood sugar spikes. Now, your body sees this spike in glucose and goes, "Whoa, we've got way too much sugar in the blood. We need to bring this down." So your pancreas releases insulin, which is the fat-storing hormone. Insulin takes that sugar and pushes it into your cells, mostly to be used for energy. But if your cells don't need all that energy right now, which they probably don't, it gets stored as body fat. Even worse, once insulin is up, your body is no longer in fat burning mode. It's in fat storing mode, and that state can last for hours. That means if you started your day with a high carb breakfast, you've just shut off your ability to burn fat, and you'll likely be stuck in that mode well into the afternoon. But it doesn't stop there. After that initial spike in glucose and insulin, your blood sugar begins to crash. That's when you feel tired, foggy, irritable, and hungrier than you were before you even ate. You'll start craving more sugar or caffeine just to feel normal again. So you grab a snack, maybe a protein bar or a latte with some oat milk, and you repeat the same cycle. Glucose goes up, insulin goes up, fat burning stays off. And now you're riding the blood sugar roller coaster for the rest of the day, wondering why you're always hungry, low energy, and stuck in fat storage mode. This is exactly why most people struggle with fat loss, even when they think they're eating healthy. The type of fuel you put into your body first thing in the day sends a message to your metabolism. If you start with carbs and sugar, you're teaching your body to burn sugar for fuel and store fat. If you start with protein and healthy fats, you're teaching your body to burn fat for fuel and stabilize your energy all day long. So let's flip the switch. Instead of carbs, you want to break your fast with nutrient-dense proteins and quality fats. These foods don't spike insulin. They don't create blood sugar crashes. Instead, they turn on your satiety hormones like leptin, peptide YY, and cholecystokinin, which tell your brain, hey, we're full, we're good, no need to keep eating. When these hormones are activated, you feel satisfied for hours. Cravings disappear. Your energy stays steady. Your brain is sharper. And your body has permission to start burning its own fat for fuel. So what does this look like in real life? It could be as simple as 3 pasture-raised eggs cooked in grass-fed butter or coconut oil, with half an avocado on the side, or a cup of bone broth with some collagen protein, sea salt, and MCT oil, or maybe some wild-caught salmon with a handful of olives and a drizzle of olive oil. These meals don't just taste good, they send the right hormonal signals to your body. They say, we're not in a sugar crisis, we're stable, we're satisfied, let's use fat for energy. One of my clients, Jake, was doing everything right, or so he thought. He started every day with a smoothie banana, almond milk. peanut butter, and a scoop of whey protein, he was gaining fat, not losing it. I told him to ditch the smoothie and replace it with eggs, avocado, and a bit of leftover steak. Within a week, his cravings disappeared, his energy doubled, and the scale finally started moving in the right direction. That's the power of shifting from a carb-first mindset to a fat-fueled one. Most people think fat loss is all about food and exercise, what to eat, what not to eat, how many reps, how many steps. But they rarely look at the mindset behind why they eat. And this is where so many go wrong, especially with that first meal of the day. They're not eating because they're hungry. They're eating because it's time, because they're stressed, because they've always eaten at that time. It's a habit, not a need. Let's break it down. You wake up, maybe you're still a little groggy, and the first thought is, what's for breakfast? Not, am I hungry? Or, what does my body need? Just autopilot. It's what you've always done. And you start reaching for something, maybe eggs, maybe a shake, maybe just coffee with something sweet, but you haven't paused long enough to actually check in with your body. And here's what happens when you eat out of habit, not hunger. Your body isn't ready. Your digestive system hasn't ramped up. Your enzymes aren't fully active. Your hunger hormones aren't sending the right signals. So instead of efficiently processing your food, you end up feeling heavy, foggy, sometimes even more tired than before. Your body sees this as stress, and that's when fat loss gets blocked. You might even be eating clean, hitting your macros, following a fasting window, but if you're eating that first meal out of emotion, not intention, your body knows, and it responds accordingly. One of the biggest shifts in my own journey came when I stopped asking, what should I eat? And started asking, why am I eating right now? That one question changed everything. I'll give you a simple practice. Before you eat your first meal, pause, take a breath. Actually, take 3. Let your nervous system calm down. Then ask yourself, how hungry am I right now on a scale from 1 to 10? 1 is totally full. 10 is you're so hungry you'd eat your own shoe. If you're not at a 7 or higher, don't eat yet. Hydrate. Move your body. Wait until your body tells you it's ready. Not your watch, not your stress, not your cravings. This one practice, pausing to check your hunger, creates a space between impulse and action. In that space, your metabolism breathes. Your digestion prepares. Your hormones align. You're not reacting anymore. You're responding. And that difference, it's everything. When you eat with intention, your body gets the message. This is nourishment, not just fuel. You chew slower, you taste your food, you stop before you're overfull, and you give your digestive system a chance to do its job. That's when your satiety hormones, leptin, peptide YY, all the ones that tell your brain, I'm good, actually get heard. One of my clients, Danielle, came to me frustrated. She was fasting, eating clean, exercising, doing everything right, but the weight wouldn't move. I asked her how she was eating that first meal. She said, usually in the car, between meetings, or while checking emails. I had her make one shift, sit down, no phone, no laptop, 3 deep breaths before eating, and no distractions during the meal. That was it. Within a week, her digestion improved, her appetite decreased, and the scale finally started shifting. Not because the food changed, but because she did. Your nervous system plays a massive role in how your body burns fat. If you're in a stressed, sympathetic state while eating, even if it's healthy food, your body prioritizes survival, not digestion. But when you're calm, mindful, and present, your parasympathetic nervous system turns on. That's when digestion is optimized, nutrients get absorbed, inflammation goes down, and fat burning becomes easier. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. You can have the best diet in the world, but if your meals are rushed, distracted, and driven by emotion, you're constantly sending mixed signals to your body. That creates confusion. Confusion leads to stagnation, and stagnation keeps you stuck, even when your habits look clean on paper. You've already done the hard part by choosing better foods, by delaying your first meal, by ditching sugar in the morning. Now take it one step further. Eat with awareness. Eat with purpose. Teach your body that it can relax, digest, and burn fat, not because it's in survival mode, but because it's safe, stable, and supported. When you eat your first meal with intention, everything changes. Your energy levels stabilize, your cravings drop, your focus sharpens. You're no longer ruled by food, you're in a rhythm with it. And fat loss becomes a natural byproduct of that alignment. You don't need months to see change. You just need a few focused days where you align your body with how it was designed to burn fat. When you combine the 3 rules, delaying your first meal, breaking your fast with protein and healthy fats, and eating with intention instead of emotion, everything clicks. You flip a metabolic switch that most people never even touch because they're trapped in outdated habits and misinformation. It starts the moment you wake up. Most people jump straight into breakfast mode. They're eating before their feet hit the ground. But if you want to torch fat in 5 days, you need to create space in the morning. That space is where your body does its best work, tapping into fat stores, lowering insulin, and triggering internal repair processes that don't happen when you're constantly feeding. Start with hydration. A tall glass of mineral-rich water, maybe with some sea salt or electrolytes, tells your body, we're awake, we're nourished, and we're not in a crisis. That simple act lowers cortisol, supports digestion, and kickstarts your energy naturally. From there, a black coffee or green tea, no sweeteners, no cream, can amplify the benefits. You're supporting autophagy, boosting norepinephrine, and reinforcing the fat-burning signal without breaking your fast. Now add in some movement, not a full workout, just light movement, a brisk walk, 10 minutes of stretching, maybe some bodyweight squats or breath work. This wakes up your mitochondria, gets your blood flowing, and teaches your body to rely on fat for fuel, not food. You're training it to become metabolically flexible, which means it can switch between burning sugar and burning fat without struggle. And here's where it gets powerful. You're not eating because it's time. You're waiting for true hunger. That means no grazing, no boredom snacks, no grabbing something just to do something. You stay fasted until your body says, oh, I'm ready. For some, that's 10 a.m. For others, it might be noon or even later. The point is, you're in control now. You're not reacting to cravings. You're responding to signals. When it's time to eat, you break your fast with a meal that fuels your fat-burning goals, not your glucose cravings. Something like 3 pasture-raised eggs cooked in grass-fed butter with half an avocado and a handful of arugula. Or a small piece of wild salmon with steamed greens, olive oil, and some kimchi. Maybe it's bone broth with collagen, olive oil, and sea salt. These meals don't spike insulin. They nourish you. They tell your body, we're safe, we're full, no need to store fat. And you eat that meal slowly with intention. No screens, no rushing, no standing at the counter. You sit down, take a few deep breaths, check in with your body, and honor the process. You chew, you taste, you notice when you've had enough. You're not stuffing your emotions. You're feeding your body. What happens next is what I call the compounding effect. Day 1, you feel a little clearer. You're not as hungry between meals. You notice your energy doesn't dip in the afternoon. By day 2 or 3, the bloating starts to fade. Your clothes fit a little differently. That mental fog starts lifting. You sleep deeper. Your cravings, they start disappearing without a fight. By day 4 or 5, people tell me they feel leaner, not just on the scale, but in their posture, their face, their mood. Their body is lighter, and so is their mind. And this isn't theory. This is what happens when you align with how your body was designed to function. One client, Lisa, dropped 4 pounds in 5 days just following these 3 rules. But what shocked her most wasn't the weight, it was her mental clarity. She said, I haven't felt this sharp in years. Another client, Marco, finally broke through a 6-month plateau just by shifting his breakfast approach. He said the key wasn't even the food, it was the mindset, the pause, the intentionality. That's the piece people miss. Fat loss isn't just physical, it's hormonal, emotional, neurological. And these, when practiced together, address all 3. You're balancing insulin, lowering inflammation, calming the nervous system, improving digestion, and giving your metabolism the exact signal it needs to finally let go of fat. You're no longer burning sugar. You're no longer chasing snacks. You're no longer reacting to every little craving or dip in energy. You've trained your body to become efficient, powerful, clear. And you did it not with restriction, not with punishment, but with strategy. And that's the difference between short-term results and lasting transformation. It's easy to get excited about new habits, especially when they make sense and start producing quick results. But even with the best intentions, there are small, sneaky habits that can quietly sabotage your progress. Even if you're technically following the rules, you might be fasting, eating clean, and trying to stay intentional. But if you're unknowingly making a few of these mistakes, it can completely shut down your fat, burning progress without you realizing it. Let's start with one of the most common ones, dirty fasting. This is where people think they're fasting, but they're still triggering an insulin response without knowing it. Maybe it's a splash of oat milk in their coffee, a flavored collagen powder, a little stevia, or even that 0-calorie sweetener they swear doesn't break the fast. But here's the truth. Your body isn't tracking calories during a fast. It's tracking as inputs. Anything that activates your digestive system or spikes insulin, even slightly, pulls you out of a fasted state. You're not drinking black coffee, you're drinking dessert in a mug. That tiny bit of sweetness or creaminess may feel harmless, but it could be enough to stop autophagy, raise insulin, and send your body right back into sugar burning mode. So now you're thinking you're fasting, but your physiology says otherwise. The metabolic benefits, they get shut down, and most people have no idea it's happening. Then there's the trap of healthy, processed foods. You see the label keto, low carb, paleo approved, and it feels safe, but processed food is still processed food, even if the label is clean. Bars, shakes, keto cookies, and almond flour snacks might technically fit your macros, but they rarely support your hormones. Many of these are loaded with sugar, alcohols, gums, fillers, and ingredients that disrupt gut health and trigger cravings later in the day. You might eat them and feel fine, but your metabolism is getting mixed messages. One of my clients, Jordan, was doing all the right things, fasting, avoiding sugar, cooking his own meals. But every afternoon, he'd reach for a keto brownie from his favorite health food store. He didn't realize it had 6 different sweeteners and nearly as many insulin-spiking ingredients as a regular one. His fat loss stalled for 2 weeks. When we pulled out that one snack and replaced it with real food, a handful of macadamia nuts and some olives, the scale started moving again within days. Another big one, mindless snacking. Even if it's clean, eating just because you're bored, anxious, or trying to fill space between tasks can wreck the rhythm you're building. Every time you eat, even just a few bites, your digestive system restarts. Insulin goes up, fat burning goes down. You might think it's just a few almonds, but if you're constantly grazing, your body never gets the break it needs to stay in that fat burning zone. You're keeping insulin just high enough to block access to stored fat. And we can't ignore stress. This is the silent killer of fat burning. You could be doing everything else right, fasting perfectly, eating clean, chewing slowly, but if you're constantly in fight or flight mode, your cortisol is chronically elevated. Cortisol raises blood sugar. High blood sugar raises insulin. And suddenly, your entire strategy is being overridden by your stress response. Fat loss doesn't happen in survival mode. It happens when the body feels safe. That's why things like deep breathing, quality sleep, and mindfulness aren't just nice to have. They're essential. They make all the other rules really work. I've been there myself. Early in my journey, I was obsessed with getting everything right, fasting windows, macros, supplements. But I was also running myself into the ground, overworking, undersleeping, and carrying tension all day. I hit a plateau that made no sense. I wasn't cheating, I wasn't snacking, but my nervous system was always lit up. It wasn't until I started prioritizing stillness, deep sleep, and quieting my mind that my body responded again. Sometimes the weight we carry isn't just physical, it's emotional, mental, and hormonal. It's not about being perfect. It's about knowing what gets in the way and being honest with yourself when you slip. One missed fast, one emotional snack, one sweetened coffee isn't the end of the road, but if you don't catch it, it can become a pattern. And patterns, not perfection, are what shape your results.